Directing can seem like a daunting task. Truth be told, it can be pretty difficult, but with a little preparation and practice, you'll be ready for whatever it throws at you. I joined Husky Network in 2020, my sophomore year. I've learned so much from the many films I've directed and hope to share some of that with you here. Let's start from the beginning. Pre-production. Pre-production is everything that happens before you start filming. This includes creating the script, getting cast and crew, choosing locations, and planning shots. This is the stage where you find your vision for the film. The most essential job of the director in the film industry is to have a vision. If you can't picture it, how can you make it? Tarantino once said, "It's not your job to create your vision, it's your job to have a vision, and then it's your job to hire talented artists who understand your vision." Some directors are more hands-on than others. In Husky Network, it's likely that as the director of small, no-budget films, you'll have to take a more central role in the film, possibly acting as a cinematographer or writer too. How can you find your vision? In pre-production, planning is key to later success. By making shot lists, storyboards, and finding locations, it can be much easier to visualize. When filming, you have a choice between time, money, and quality. You have to balance it. In Husky Network, if we want very high quality, that tends to mean spending more time since we don't have funding. My next tip would be to write to your strengths. Hollywood films tend to have budgets in the millions, but in Husky Network, the only funding you have is your own. For example, on my film Hall Monitor, I wrote it to be set in a school with few main characters. We filmed it documentary style to lower the burden on ourselves when it comes to cinematography. This made it much easier to have a believable and achievable short film. On my film Psychosis, I wrote it to be set in one room. We wanted it to be set in an insane asylum, but we needed to film it in school hours. We worked it out with Campbell to film in a storage closet, so it is fairly believable. So many doors open for you if you are confident and not afraid to ask. It can also help to play the high school filmmaker card too. That's how I was able to film in Schlotsky's and use music from the band Chat Pile for my film All the Crashing Gardens. A good script is step one to a good film. Without the story, you have nothing. While you should be careful in writing to make sure it's achievable for you to make, you shouldn't be afraid to push yourself to your limits. Greatness comes when you go as far as you can comfortably go and then go a little further. Production. Production, also known as principal photography, is a stage where filming takes place. When filming, sometimes it's easy to bite off more than you can chew. Only go as far as you can go consistently. If for one shot you have the time to set up lights, fog, and set design, but for the rest of the film you only have enough time to get the actors to say the line, then you probably should aim for more consistency. A good example of this is Z28. We frequently tried to do way more than we could, and it ended up a confusing mess of a film. In Husky Network, we often work with volunteer crew and actors. Remember that when filming and working with them, be kind and considerate, or they will often give out. As the director, it is your job to keep people driven and motivated. Compliments and thanks go a long way. When choosing who to work with, make sure to work with dedicated people. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and when the filming gets tough, make sure you know that they will stick it out with you. Play to your cast and crew's strengths. Assign people to positions that set them up for success. Often, as the director of a film, it can become your baby. You may want to control every aspect of your film to be exactly how you pictured it, but don't be afraid to let it grow. Film is a developing medium. It can really add a lot to the film when you let actors improvise and understand the character.
Just go to class before I change my mind. Druggies.
When you assign an actor to a role, it becomes more their character than it is yours. As the director, communication is vital. You need to make sure you clearly communicate what you want. But I like to let them take the reins to an extent. Murphy's Law applies very much to filmmaking. What can go wrong, will go wrong. And with that, there is another essential job for the director: solving problems. One thing that can really separate a good director from their peers is their ability to adapt to new situations. Just because you don't have the budget and tools of large studios doesn't mean you can't get the shots you want. There's always a solution with a little bit of creativity. Post-production. Post-production starts when the filming ends. This includes editing, sound, music, and visual effects. Editing is one of the most important parts of the filmmaking process. It is where your clips turn into a full video. I'm going to keep this section short, but I strongly encourage any new directors to do some research into editing and how you can assist in the process. I'd also do some research into the Kuleshov effect. This is not a rule book. There are no right and wrong answers. This is all just my opinion. It is important as the director to be confident in your abilities. Don't let imposter syndrome hold you back. I learned that lesson while working on a professional film set as a PA with very little experience. I really didn't know much, and yet the cinematographer was asking me my opinion on different things in the shot. Truth is, no one really knows what they're doing. We're all just running in blindly, so be secure in yourself and your knowledge. The only thing separating you from the greats is experience. Be different, be bad, mess up, make things you don't like, because that's how you grow to make something you love. Never stop learning and growing. Here are some resources for further research. Some YouTube channels I like are Indie Mogul, D for Darius, In-Depth Cine, and Outstanding Screenplays. Some good books I've read are Cinematography Theory and Practice, the Master Shots books, and In the Blink of an Eye. Reading books on filmmaking may sound tiresome, but I've learned so much more from them than I ever have from any video. My final tip is to watch films. Sounds simple enough, but many of us don't give films our full attention. If you're on your phone during a movie, you haven't fully experienced it. Learn from your mistakes and your peers' mistakes. Watch your peers' films with the same attention you'd watch your own. I've learned so much more from my mistakes than I ever have from my successes. Well, that's all my advice for this video. You have every resource you need to make something great, so get out there and make it.